What's up, guys? Thanks for joining. It is Wednesday, April 15th. This is the Whiteboard Breakdown. So for today, we are focusing on a mile run, and we have a little squat fun at the end of the day for our strength. So you'll need your running shoes, a timer, or just your cell phone, work that timer, and then a dumbbell, kettlebell, or if you have a barbell, we'll use that for the strength after we're finished with our mile. Starting with our warm-up, we are focusing on that mile run. So starting off with a 200-meter jog. So this is just a nice light jog, about 30 seconds out, 30 seconds back, unless you know exactly what your 200-meter loop is that you may have in your neighborhood. As you get back from that 200-meter jog, we're gonna start to warm up our ankles and kind of work our way up to our hips. So we're gonna start with 10 ankle rocks. So high on the toes, and then rocking back to the heels. Okay, so forward and back is one. Getting our shins, ankles nice and primed up. Next, we're working up into our hips with our hurdles. So acting like there's something we're gonna be stepping over here, we're going to go up and around that imaginary object. Foot comes down, other leg does the same exact thing. We don't wanna lean over as we're working that. We want our femur to work around that hip socket, and that's what's moving around, not our body leaning to get some more mobility that's not actually there. So we're gonna do 10 forward, 10 back. If you don't have enough space where you're warming up to actually move, you can just do it in place, forward and back. After we finish the walking hurdles, now we're doing leg swings. So again, body position, I want my hips to stay in line as I kick my legs forward and back. Okay, I don't wanna move my back and core back and forth. I want my femur moving around my hip. Then, after I go front to back for 10, I go side to side. Okay, if you need to hold on to something there, grab a ledge or something to give yourself some balance, fine. Then we have 10 squats. So just 10 regular squats. Again, knees, hips, ankles getting nice and warm there. Then we have RDLs, so we're just working our hamstrings. So feet a little closer together, hinging my hips back until I feel my hamstrings get a nice stretch, and then standing it up. I just don't want to round my back here. So as I come down, I don't want to reach. I want to keep that back nice and flat. Again, just to focus on the hamstrings. After we finish a second round of that same 5 exercises, so you don't have to do the 200-meter jog again, but we will go through that one more time. Then we're going to finish with a 400-meter run. Okay, this 400-meter run is going to be a quarter of a mile. Okay, so we want to run this quarter of a mile at the pace we want to shoot for with our mile run. Okay, so if I'm shooting for like an 8-minute mile, I should be able to run that 400 in 2 minutes or around there. Okay, see how that pace feels, so that when we do get to our mile, if that 2 minutes at 400 meters felt like, oh man, that was pretty easy, maybe I bring that pace time down a little bit. Maybe I shoot for a 7.5 mile. So this is a good opportunity to kind of test that pacing out and see what our timing might look like on our splits for every quarter mile. All right, now that we're breathing nice and hard, we just hit our 400-meter run to find that mile pacing that we're gonna try to shoot for the actual Metcon portion in our mile run. Now we're gonna bring our heart rate down just a little bit, but keep our hips nice and warm. So we have 5 reps of each of these movements, and then we're going to take a little rest and then get into our mile. So first one, we're gonna be on all fours. Our leg is gonna be kicked out here to the side, and we're gonna be doing a rock. So we're gonna get into our groin here, pushing the hips back in a nice stretch, and then forward to relax. Okay, we're gonna do 5 reps, and then we're gonna switch into a hip flexor stretch. So my leg just comes into a lunge. Now I'm shooting for the hip flexor on the opposite side. I'm going to tuck my hips underneath, squeeze my glute, and then drive my hip forward. It may not go that far because of my glute is squeezed and my hips are turning up. Okay, so you should feel that in your quad and hip flexor. We're gonna go back and forth, rocking 5 times. Next one is just gonna be a hamstring, back to the other leg. We're gonna kick that leg out. From here, I'm gonna shoot my hips back to get a good hamstring stretch, so I should be feeling it in the back of my leg. If you're flexible enough, grab that toe, give it a nice pull, and then I'm gonna bend that knee, relax, and go right into another rep. Okay, again, 5 there. Last one, we're bringing both hands on the inside of our heel. From here, elevate that back leg. My elbow is gonna come down towards my heel. I'm gonna come up and rotate. I'm gonna do that 5 times. Up and rotate. Okay, after I finish, all on one side. I'm just going to switch, and now that'll be the lead leg. Okay, 5 at each there. Then we'll get into our mile focus. All right, moving on to our mile run. All right, this is going to be the beginning of a 6-week focus. So this mile time is going to be used throughout the 6 weeks with our training. So it is important to try to get an accurate mile time. So make sure that we have the route already mapped out. I posted the website Map My Run on our Facebook group. It's a good way to at least get the exact right distance, and you can kind of see the area map of where you are so that you have a good idea if you need to do an out and back, or if you just have a route where you can just continuously run that full mile, and you'll have an idea of where those quarter-mile markers are. If you do have a watch, make sure you wear that watch, or if you have a cell phone that you can just toss in your pocket if it's not going to move around a lot, just so that you get that accurate timing. So for our mile, while we're focusing on it, I want you to think about it into those 4 parts we've already talked about. Remember, we did a 400-meter run, so 1,600 meters is our mile, so breaking that into 4 portions. So thinking about our first two quarters, so half of a mile, thinking about maintaining the same pace to that first half. So what we did on our warm-up 400, that's where we want to start, and see how that feels as we get to that half mile. We're not totally redlining and killing ourselves. We want to have a tough pace, but something that we can maintain. Once we hit that 3rd and 4th quarter, that's when we really got to start to dig deep here. Our 3rd, if we have it in us, we want to pick it up a couple of seconds, or if we're looking at our splits, bring that a couple seconds down. If we feel like we're barely holding on, just continue to try to hold on to that original pace all the way throughout that 3rd quarter. Once we get to the 4th, depending on how experienced we are here, this is where we may turn it up again a few seconds, or again, decrease our splits by a few seconds and really push and drive home and almost finish in a full out sprint. And that last 400 to 200 meters is really where we want to start to push that pace at the end. Again, if we're not an experienced runner, we may just be holding on and really just mentally pushing through that same pace that we started with throughout the whole entire last 400 meters. Okay, so remember, record that in sugar wad, and this will be talked about later on and throughout the whole entire 6 weeks, and we'll test it again at the end of the 6 weeks. Good luck, guys. All right, you just crushed the mile. Well done, guys. All right, now we're gonna finish it off. Legs are probably a little bit tired, but we do have a little strength portion with our front squats. We've been doing this over the last few weeks, so all this should be pretty familiar. We have 7 sets of 7 reps with 3-second negative down, 3-second hold, and then exploding up out of the bottom. Okay, depending on the weight that we have, we can use 2 dumbbells, 2 kettlebells. We can also goblet a single kettlebell or dumbbell, or if you have a barbell, we can go into that front rack and do the same thing. Okay, for our positioning, so as I'm doing my goblet squat, when I'm coming down, I want to focus on my knees and chest. So as I go my 3 seconds down, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. I want to keep my chest up nice and tall. So I do not want to see 1, 2, 3, and then that chest come down. Or even when I'm coming up, I don't want to see my hips move first. I want to see everything move in the right direction at the same time. Same thing with my knees. As I go down, I want my knees pointing in the same direction as my toes. I do not want them to clamp in on me. So make sure that we have some pressure through our toes, and then we're turning our feet out slightly to get those knees in the correct position, and we're fighting our chest up so that weight isn't pulling us forward. Okay? If you do not have a heavy weight, extend that time a little bit. So instead of 3 seconds on the way down, maybe we do 4 or 5 seconds on the way down. Same with the hold at the bottom. Maybe we do 4 or 5 seconds at the bottom there as well. Okay, so mix and match there with depending on the weight you have. If you do have a barbell or multiple weights, you can use these sets progressively, starting off with a little bit lighter weight, and then finding that sweet spot throughout those 7 reps. And then to finish out the day, all you're gonna do, kick your feet up onto the wall, hang out there for 5 minutes, and relax. You earned it. Awesome job today, guys.